And we're back. The Rangers Ed podcast after a weekend or a week off for Labor Day. Cousin Ed couldn't join us today, so this is your host, Little Ed, from the workshop, coming at you live with Coach Ed. Looking forward to this Bruins episode. We are going to be joined by one of our own, Mikey 150. If you're a new listener out there, Mikey joins us once a week on our regular season episodes and does a little bit of a round the league wrap up. He tries to keep it at 150 seconds for us, but you know how that goes. And then he decided to bring some backup this year. We're looking at Downtown Boozy from the Only Bruins podcast. So, looking forward to covering the Bruins, see what they're up to in the offseason. There's a little bit of drama going up in Beantown. So, before that, let's see what Coach Ed has been up to. I know the Stony Brook Seawolves AAU team is back on track and ready to start the season. So, Coach, how we doing over there?
We're doing pretty good. I think it's looking pretty good. I think our squad improved from last year.
Improved.
Talent wise, it remains
Very
to be
good.
seen once we play a game. But we got a bunch of league freshmen, which is always good. And we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to join the team yet. My regular day job has been a little busy, and I've been trying to. We got some surprises for you ahead for the regular season with the show. We've been working behind the scenes to bring you some good stuff, some extra content, and all that for this regular season. And as you can see, I'm still trying to hang on to the summertime with my tank tops for these episodes. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to join the team.
In the morning. A little chilly in the morning. I'm sure it is when you leave from work.
Yeah, that's how New York is. You're freezing in the morning, and then by noon you're sweating, right? So
yeah,
that's how it goes.
I'm embracing it.
The time of year we're in right now. So couldn't throw Cousin Ed off with the hats this week, but Coach Ed decided to join me with his Bruins Carhartt cap right there, and I got I forget what jersey this is. Maybe let's just bring on the boys from Boston to talk about the hats and see what we got going on here. What's up, Boozy? Mikey? Nice to meet you, Boozy. What's going on?
Come on, guys.
What's up?
Come on.
So this hat, I think it was it the Winter Classic, this hat they released for? I know I got it at TD Garden when we went there a couple years ago. I just forget what jersey it was for. I mean, you got a collection back there, Mikey, so.
The Blackhawks one now.
That's the one.
Boom.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
This was a Winter Classic, and they've been rocking it as a third jersey too, but not a little bit different sleeves on the third jersey.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I thought this was a nice hat to get as a little memento from being in TD Garden. So,
I mean, it's kind of sacrilegious to have Marchand with Bergeron and Orr up there, but whatever.
Why is that sacrilegious?
I don't know.
Yeah, you need to elaborate on that one.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You're not retiring Marchand's number, I hope. Bergeron and Orr, I could
They're
see.
They're definitely going to retire Marchand's jersey.
Should have an Esposito jersey. Should have an Esposito jersey up there.
Coach, the season hasn't even started, and you're already talking out of your ass.
Look, you're lucky. You're lucky. Cousin Eddie's not here, so that's all.
Oh boy! Wow, right on.
Well, he'll be back. He'll be back soon enough for Mikey and Cousin Ed to go after it. But for now, Mikey, you're a married man. You want to recap the wedding real quick for the fans?
Yeah, she said I do. I said I do, and boom, we were married.
That's it. That's it.
Congratulations.
A week and a half ago. Awesome. Bunch of family came up. Relatively small wedding. This place sucks to get to. So, it was fun. Nice, good party.
We weren't able to make it. It was a tough decision to make, but we're definitely going to have to cut out there soon. So we got some gifts coming your way. So don't worry. Some homemade, nice gifts. So
Roger.
So I guess when's the fantasy league going to start up? We got to get that going with I guess officially now Mrs. 150. She's officially
Mrs. 150 officially. Yeah. I got to get that on the go, man. I'm going offshore in a week for another 10 days, so it might be a little delayed, but
as long as we get it in, it doesn't matter. As long as you get it in, if you need help, shoot us a message and we'll get it going. And obviously, Boozy, I mean, we did it last year. You're more than welcome to join us this year. Get on the if you're a fantasy guy.
Always happy to fantasy leagues.
Yeah, so we'll talk off air about that, and we usually do like a live draft on YouTube and have everybody come on and talk some smack. Coach Ed always surprises us and with some picks, but we had a pretty fun competitive league last year. So like I said,
I am a draft expert. I did auto draft my team last year and I won it all. So that might be my that might be my I might just join on the live stream and watch my team auto draft. That might be my strategy.
Well, the live stream's a lot of fun. The live stream's a lot of fun.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
I was just going to say that. Bold strategy, Cotton.
I forget. Someone definitely auto drafted last year. I forget. Was it Sean from Hockey Night in New York? He was like in and out. But yeah, the auto draft's always funny to see. Like, yeah. Good time. So, Boozy, tell us a little bit about Only Bruins Pod, how long you've been doing it, where can we find you, or where can our listeners find you and listen to you and all that good stuff?
First of all, thank you guys for hopping on. Been talking to Mike for off and on throughout the past season, but we've done it 2 seasons now. This is going to be our 3rd season going into it. Kind of started it solo. I knew my co-host beforehand, Brett, and he joined. He was like kind of off grid for a little bit. Once he was back in motion, he kind of locked in with me. And he joined me full time halfway through that historic season the Bruins were having that year, maybe just before halfway, and then we added a friend to the show to do Bobby's Corner, and then we were like, fuck it, come join us full time, and now we got the trio, and so we've been doing it. It's going to be our 3rd season, 1st season full time to get all 3 of us together. So excited about that. But yeah, I actually we just reached our 100th episode too, which was awesome, which was a big milestone for us that we were happy about, and just trying to plug away throughout the off season too and get episodes out weekly, because as you guys know, that's nearly impossible. But having 3 of us, it helps a lot. Helps a lot to just kind of shoot the shit and have some fun with it, really, and try to get creative as possible. But Jeremy Swayman's been taking up a lot of our off-season talks, and that's getting old really quick. And we are 29 days away from opening night for the Boston Bruins, and I don't know if it's time to panic or not. So a lot of rumors coming out the last 2 weeks or so. So who knows what to think, really.
Give us a couple of those rumors. Stress. What are those rumors?
One rumor was 4 years, $6 million. And then the rumor was that the Bruins hadn't reached out to their camp in 3 weeks. And then there was a rumor that he was asking for $10 million. It's just you're hearing.
He was asking for the McAvoy deal. He was asking for $10 million. The Bruins offered 8 at 6. They offered 4 at 6. Like, I've heard pretty well everything under the sun.
Well, I was on mute, which I always do, but now that I'm the host, I really shouldn't. Let's rewind. We didn't want to go into the offseason yet. Let's rewind back to last season first. So the Bruins lost Bergeron, obviously, longtime captain, one of, if not the best defensive forwards in the league for a very long time, and Krejci, both in the same season. That's a big hit for you guys, obviously. I mean, what was your expectations going into last season? I mean, did they surprise you? I mean, I know on this show, we kind of picked them to possibly miss the playoffs or be that bubble team. I mean, what was your expectations and how'd you feel? Mikey, you go first.
I think we got it somewhere documented on these episodes. I think I had them at 5th in the Atlantic and bubble for the playoffs, wild card, I think. But, I mean, it's hard to be not surprised when they win the President's Trophy, and then last year, put up the numbers they did with losing Bergeron and Krejci. So, I mean, they've been doing great, but the regular season doesn't mean anything, So they can't really put it together in the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say they've been doing great because, they're like the Leafs. They've been great in the regular season, but they don't do anything in the playoffs, So, I don't know.
It seems like it's been a little bit of a long. Yeah, it seems like it's been a little bit of a long stretch of Boston kind of falling short after the regular season. Boozy, can you want to build on that at all? Or
yeah, I mean, it's hard because the Bruins came down from such a high so quickly that first season, Jim Montgomery coached the team when they had that historic season. And then you lose Krejci, you lose Bergeron going into the season. The expectations were kind of all over the place because you did have the dynamic goaltender duo that you were relying heavily on. And there was, Marchand's team now. So it's like, what's this team going to look like? Coyle's going to get more minutes. There are a lot of question marks, but there was a lot of excitement. I said at the beginning of last season that I wouldn't be surprised if this team surprises some guys. And it surprised us for sure. I had them finishing third in our division. I think they finished second. Yeah, they finished second. Of course, got the Maple Leafs again in the first round, and that
feels like so long ago, right?
Yeah, but no, I don't think from the Bruins fans there was a lot of hope when we got matched up against the Florida Panthers in the second round. Then it's like, all right, well, what's going on now? But we kind of let that first place slot slip out of our hands last season, and they did go through a little bit of a tough stretch. And I think a lot of fans were very wary of Coach Jim Montgomery, and he's going into a contract year. And I'm sure we'll get into that shortly with expectations for this upcoming season. But
right.
Very wary of that. Don't feel too good about that.
It's tough because they don't really have scoring. And, throughout the regular season last year, like I said, they were fantastic in the regular season. But for anyone that knows anything about hockey, you could watch the Bruins, and it was pretty obvious that they were not going to go far in the playoffs. Like, they couldn't win faceoffs. I mean, you guys saw that with the Rangers, like, I want to say 4 or 5 or so years ago when they couldn't win any faceoffs. Like, it just cripples you. And it happened all through the regular season. And Swayman and Ullmark and even the Bruins defense, like, they stole a whole bunch of games in the regular season. And that type of stuff just doesn't fly in the playoffs. If you can't put the puck in the net, you're not going to win playoff games.
You need possession, and you need to be able to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, 100%. And it was pretty obvious throughout the whole regular season that they couldn't score, they couldn't win faceoffs, and like your defense and your goaltending only takes you so far. So, yeah. I mean, expectations weren't too high, but I was pleasantly surprised.
I mean, you have to be happy with Montgomery after that season, losing those 2 players, and he kept them in I don't know, the few times I watched them, and even highlights, they still have that playoff type of team. Obviously, less scoring that they need, but that keeps you competitive,
Yeah, but it's almost
like they're similar to the Hurricanes. Sorry to cut you off, but they're similar to the Hurricanes in that aspect where they dominate the regular season. They're able to play that solid defensive hockey. I mean, the Bruins have a much better goaltending tandem, or had a better goaltending tandem than the Hurricanes did. But then you fall short in the playoffs because you don't have that dynamic scorer other than Pasta. You need more than just one. I mean, it showed in the Rangers towards the end too. Panarin and Zibanejad fall asleep, and there's no chance. So you just need that dynamic scorer, someone to get hot for the entire playoffs, and that's what the Bruins, Hurricanes, other teams are lacking, no doubt.
Yeah.
Or you need that third or fourth liner to step up, which neither
right. Someone just to get hot, no matter who it is. You just need someone to get hot and put up like 20, 30 points or whatever, So
yeah. But the Bruins did ask a lot from a lot of new guys last year. Like not new guys, but they asked a lot of guys to take big steps, like Coyle. Right. They gave Zacha that deal. Zacha was playing first line minutes all year. Danton Heinen, like best contract of the year last year. Unbelievable. Yeah, they asked a lot of guys, and even Morgan Geekie, like he had a great year last year, and those guys all performed to their, to their best. I'd say to their best last year. They were fantastic, and this year it's going to be Fabian Lysell, Matt Poitras, John Beecher, and Justin Brazeau. All those guys need to, really take a step up and fill those roster spots. And if they do that, the Bruins will be great.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned before that, the defense and the goaltending only takes you so far. I mean, that's the main things that they well, I guess before we get into the Ullmark and Swayman drama, they improved their defensemen or they signed their defensemen to longer deals. I mean, seems like they're not really addressing the issue. What you're saying is with the offense, but I guess Ullmark goes to Ottawa. How much of an impact do you think that's going to be not having the tandem and, well, hopefully signing Swayman in the next couple weeks? But how? Let's assume Swayman signs. How do you think that not having the tandem will be going forward, affecting this defensive structure? I guess.
I mean, I think you're going to rely heavily on. I have this whole theory too that I don't want to go down yet, but I think you're going to rely heavily on the additions that you've made and adding the size. And I think obviously the Bruins had an emphasis in the offseason to add size, even though Cam Neely came out saying we need speed, but we get size, which
fine with it.
Yeah, it's whatever. I think he confuses speed and size maybe, but that's maybe a problem we'll deal with in the upcoming off seasons. But no, I think it was a important role, or it was important for them to emphasize on adding size. And yeah, I don't know how many games you guys watch in the Bruins in the postseason, but they would get pushed around at times. I mean, there was against the Panthers. I mean, even going back to two postseasons ago, it's just, you couldn't do much when you have the first season Gudas, targeting your best player, when you have Matthew Tkachuk chucking knucks with Pasta.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about that.
It was Pasta's idea, I guess, but you need some protection out there to let your forwards play a little bit bigger and be a little bit more comfortable. But we're letting opposing teams get way too comfortable in front of your goaltenders, and that became a problem very quickly. And I still think Swayman embellished it a little bit, but when Tkachuk hit or bumped into Swayman during a commercial break, whatever, in the postseason last year, stuff like that, like taking liberties with our goaltenders and taking liberties with our wingers and our forwards in the corners too. When you're in your own zone, you have a tough time getting the puck out of the net. So it's we added Jay Leach back to the Bruins coaching staff to focus on the D, and I have high praise for him. I think he's going to bring a lot to that D core because you do have a lot of depth back there, which is nice, which is something you weren't really able to say last year. And now you're going to have to rely more on that than you're going to be able to rely on a goalie tandem, I guess you can say, because you really don't know what you have in Corpusello. We call him goalie coach Bob. He's worked his magic with everyone before that's basically been in the Bruins organization. I mean, Dan Vladar was once projected to be an absolute stud in the NHL with what goalie coach Bob did with him, and he left, and reality kind of hit him. So, but goalie coach Bob has also worked with Corpusello before. So people are thinking that, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but people are thinking that he can kind of fix him, and that he suggested maybe that it's worth the trade and whatnot. So we'll have to wait and see. That contract's a little bit hefty, but the good thing is you have your D-core locked up for kind of years to come, and you have some young guys that are ready to step up there and play heavy minutes, which I'm excited about.
Well, I think we've ignored it enough because you just said Swayman and contract in the same sentence, but not together. So let's do it. Mike, you kind of recapped it a little bit before. I mean, I kind of go through that again. So what does Swayman want? What are the Bruins offering? And do you think they're going to be able to, I guess, find a middle ground? Or what do you think he deserves? Or what would you be happy with?
Oh, that's such a tough one, man. Well, so the last three goalies that have signed have averaged around like $9.5 million, I think, between Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, and I can't remember who the third, Hellebuck maybe, but
yeah,
Hellebuck just signed with the Jets last year. I think
yeah, he's right on point for that 9.5, the McAvoy contract. I think that's where he's got to sit. I mean, that's a really big fat paycheck for a goalie, but that's just how it is these days. And for what Swayman did between the regular season and the playoffs, especially in the playoffs, like, shut up and take my money. You know what I mean? He's worth 9.5 for sure. And as far as not having the tandem goes, I mean, if you've ever watched have you ever seen Jeremy Swayman not smiling and like the happiest dude in the universe? Like, yeah, he's got great chemistry with Allmark for sure. And, no other goalie's likely going to match that, but he's such a good personality and he's such a great dude in the locker room, great teammate, that whoever is in that backup goalie slot, like, they're going to be a team again, So I don't really have any apprehension about that dynamic going forward. But as far as a contract, I think 9.5 is pretty well spot on.
How do you think he's going to handle? How do you think he's going to handle playing 60, 65 games?
Who says he's going to play 60, 65 games?
I mean, if he doesn't have the tandem.
No.
Well, why? Well, that's just what I'm saying. Why does he have to have the tandem to do that? The Bruins, we were just talking about how good their defense is. Jonas Korpisalo is a good goalie. He's no slouch by any means.
So their strategy is going to be to keep that tandem going and almost even?
I don't think it's going to be a 1-to-1 like it was last year, but Swayman's definitely going to get the majority of games. I don't think it's going to be a 60-20 split by any stretch. I think you're looking at maybe closer to like 50-30, somewhere around there. Probably.
Wow. I mean, the Rangers might be looking to do that too, Coach. I mean,
but come on, you're going to pay a guy $9.5 million. He's going to play 50 games.
Well, that's another subject too.
Coach, you pay somebody $9.5 million to win you 4 playoff series. All you have to do in the regular season is get into the playoffs. That's all you have to do.
Right, but he has
to pay a guy to win it. I mean, look at his numbers from last year. He didn't lose those playoff games. The Bruins lost those games.
I personally don't think he has the leverage because he hasn't proven.
You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. Absolutely valid
to command the $9.5 million. That's my opinion.
It was a very weird situation too with deciding who to sit and who to go with. I remember it was a lot of not drama, but like back and forth on NHL radio about like who's starting game 3. Oh no, they're going back with. Oh no, they're going. Like that's got to mess with the goalie's head too a little bit. Like there was a lot of things of Swayman like saying like, no, I want the game. It's like that's at one point. Am I getting the game? Like that's what I'm saying. So that might just change. It's a different mentality. I mean, we talk, Coach. You say it a lot on our show that you got to have that, not security, but like that mentality and that groove as a starting goalie. That like
I agree.
It's your net to lose almost. And last year everything was up in the air. It's got to be frustrating, especially for Swayman, who's probably never been a backup in his life.
Well, Swayman was even saying in the postseason that it was his net. He didn't want to lose the net. He wants to play every night.
Right. That's what I mean.
So it obviously that's what you want to hear out of your goaltender when he's playing lights out at the moment. But I'm kind of with Coach right now too, though. Like this has been my thing with Jeremy Swayman is I think I can understand him projecting high on himself. Like a lot of these young kids are coming out of their rookie contracts and getting these monster-like deals. But in a sense, they're also taking hometown discounts in the long run, essentially. And he's already passed his rookie deal. He's never really proven himself to be the guy. Yes, he had a great playoff run, which is absolutely encouraging. But he played a career high this year, 44 games. Yes, he was injured a little bit too at times this year, and I think previous years too. But he's shown that he can manage 44 games and be one of the top goalies in the league. The problem is if he wants to get $9.5 million a year, then I just need a larger sample size of that because I think he's played 132 NHL games. I mean, 10 of them came from the 2020-2021 season. Then 41, 37, 44. And his numbers are good. Don't get me wrong by any means. But, I mean.
Did Bobrovsky get $9.5 million before he won the Vezina Trophy?
No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He had a track record, and he was one of the best goalies in the league.
Well, he's getting 10.5 now.
I don't agree with any of it.
He got that deal in his 30s. and he's beaten Swayman in the playoffs once because Swayman didn't really get a chance the previous year. He outplayed Swayman when Game 7 he was lights out. You needed Swayman to be the better goaltender, and Bobrovsky was the better goaltender. And I don't know. Like I think 8.5 is a fair deal if he wants to do like a Matthews like deal where it's 4 to 5 years in a bridge sense, where by that time he'll be 29, 30 years old.
Yeah, and then he'll be able to set it.
And then, salary cap will go up. If you want 8 years and you want 12 to 14 million a year, it's possible by that time. But Bruins also have a thing where they've never paid their goaltenders more than 10 million a year combined. Never mind one player. It was always Tuukka Rask 7.5, and then a backup that was serviceable for 2-3 million. I think when it was him and Halak, it was just at 10 million or just under 10 million. And then obviously you had Swayman on these cheap deals, and Allmark's contract ended up looking like a steal. So it worked out. But I mean, you also see with these other teams, they kind of handcuff themselves when they sign these goaltenders to 10 million a year deal, 10 AAV deals. Like, I mean, but I don't even know how it's going to work for the Florida Panthers going forward with Spencer Knight making 4.5, I think now. And Bobrovsky's clearly that guy. It doesn't look like he's slowing down. And I mean, if he's asking for 10 million, what the hell is Shesterkin? I can never say his goddamn name. It's such a tongue twister. Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that either. He's going to be looking to command 12 million. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you don't listen to our show, but we say we're not telling Igor to walk by any means before we start getting hosed in the comments. But for 12 million, you got to weigh your options. You really got to weigh your options. The last couple Stanley Cup winners weren't winning, except Bobrovsky, I guess. But you're not looking at any kind of Vezina or breaking the bank style goalies like we were just talking about. A lot of these goalies are signing those contracts after they win the cup. Like Binnington, Aiden Hill. Like goalies like that. So 12 million for Igor is going to be a tough ask, especially when you already got Panarin, you got Zibanejad, a lot of guys, Lafreniere coming up, so
something's got to give.
We talk about that a lot.
You can't get rid of the Trouba contract.
So I know, yeah, well, we'll see. We're also pro Trouba on this podcast, Boozy.
No, I'm a Trouba guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Trouba guy.
We know what he brings to the table, and sure, is it 8 million worthy? Maybe not, but he's also our captain, and we have faith in him. So we'll see.
Look, I look at it like this: like you guys are talking about the Bruins getting pushed around. Without Trouba in the lineup, the Rangers get mopped all over the rink. They don't have a guy other than Schneider. I mean, Lindgren tries, but no, I'm talking about on the D-core.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm talking about on the D-core. Talk about protecting the goalie in front of the net.
Yeah.
They got guys. I mean, Lindgren tries. Fox isn't physical enough at all. He's not that built like that. You got Lindgren tries, but he's small. And you got Schneider, who's a little bigger. He'll bang around and do stuff. But without Trouba,
Keandre is not very physical, eh?
Not at all. Nope. Not enough.
No.
You're going to get banged around even more, and the fans are calling to get rid of Trouba. To me, it's I don't know. I have my own opinion on it, but
I mean, our fan base is calling to get they're calling to get rid of Trouba for Zach Jones. Like that's gonna work in the playoffs, but that's a subject.
But I'm with you guys on the D-core as far as I get what Cam Neely was saying with speed, but you don't need that speed on the D-core. You need to build up the size to protect that, to battle in the corners and get the puck out of the zone and in front of the net. In the playoffs.
Well, going back to the Bruins, I don't know how much you guys watched of Andrew Peeke last year, but holy smokes, that dude, he is so fun to watch. Like the Bruins have a very old school style of play in the defense end of the ice. Like McAvoy just lays the hammer every chance he gets. And they're like, we've been saying they're very physical, but this kid Peeke like for anyone that's played defense, you know how much it sucks to go in the corner with a forward coming down on your back or to just be standing in front of the net, half screening your goalie, and see a dude wind up to take a slap shot in front of you, and just be like, shit, I need to block this. Like, I have to block it. He blocks every one of those shots, and he gets the puck out of the corner every time. He's fantastic. Man, it's unbelievable addition. Great pickup by Sweeney. He's such a fun defenseman to watch.
Him getting hurt in the playoffs last year hurt us too.
Oh, that was such a bummer.
Yeah, that
I
was
know.
tough.
Yeah, those kind of guys are invaluable. I mean, I saw him
Big time.
I saw him earlier in the season and in the end of the season, but I don't watch him often. But you watch guys like that, you know, those are the guys that mean it and that you need in the playoffs to advance.
He's just a
No doubt
younger
about
version
it.
of Chris Tanev. That's what he is.
You need those guys.
And yeah, less refined, but yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm not
that- yeah.
saying Gruber's not overpaid, but give me a solution. If you don't have a solution, you got to deal with what you have.
Right. And McAvoy's saying that he's the smallest defenseman on the team now, which is pretty crazy.
That's pretty good.
Crazy.
Before we move away from Swayman, just give us a prediction. What's the contract? What does he sign for?
And how do you think he's going to fare as number one?
I've been saying 8 times 7.5 since like February, and I want to stick with that. Obviously, things have changed. I think his agent got a little greedy after that playoff run. I think maybe Swayman did too, and it's kind of hard to tell if he wants a longer bridge-like deal or a long-term deal. But I'm going to settle with 8 times 8. I'll move my number a little bit, but I think it'll be 8 times 8. I think he's got to come back down to reality a little bit and realize that his numbers just aren't there yet. And if he wants to sign a shorter term deal, fine. But I think regardless, the AAV will be 8. The term I think will be anywhere between 4 years and 8 years.
That's a big, that's not a bold prediction there, Boozer.
Covering all the bases.
You know what I mean?
there, Boozy.
You're like, that's you're going to sign anywhere from 4 to 8. And,
I gotta come back when he signs and I can clip this and see, and when he signs for like 6 years, $8 billion, be like, see, I called that.
yeah.
I'll give you the audio, Boozy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, I'll stick with 8 times 8 then. I'll go with 8 times 8.
That's hilarious. All right, Boozy's got 8 by 8. What do you got, Mikey?
Oh boy, I'll say 9.5 at 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say the shorter term, but even the 9.5 seems high. Coach,
I think it's
I don't follow it that much. I don't think he deserves it. He's got to prove himself. If I was the GM, I'm going like 4 years at the 6 to 7, and he's got to prove it. And then he could hit the bankroll after that. I mean, yeah, he had a good playoff run. How far did they go? 2 rounds? They didn't make it out of 2 rounds, did they?
they lost to Florida. Yeah, they lost to Florida.
I mean, they lost to the Stanley Cup champ, granted, but
you
that's
keep
not
saying
proving
this like
yourself.
it's his fault. The Bruins
I'm
are
not
basically
saying
playing
it's his fault,
with their
but
sticks upside down. They were so bad in the offensive end of the
I
ice.
got you. But if you're going to command 9 to 10 million as a starting goalie, you have to have. I mean, even Shesty's commanding 12. At least he went to the conference finals.
Well, honest question. Do you think that Swayman stole any of those games? Whereas, like, you could say, like, no, the Bruins lose that game unless Swayman's in net. I'm not trolling. I have no idea. I don't remember any of the games really.
I think
because that's what we're trying to say is like Swayman doesn't say
games.
like, hey, I carried them to his agent. I don't think he's saying it, but like he carried them to round 2. I'm like, you know what I mean?
Well,
if Swayman wasn't in
those games in the first round, like that game 7, he was phenomenal against Toronto.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I remember that game. I don't remember every.
I mean, that's a big deal to beat Toronto in Game 7 to advance. It's not something to shake your head at, but
why they never beat Toronto?
What they lose in game
Toronto before?
They went to 5 or 6 games in round 2.
6.
6?
Yeah, 6.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you think he stole one of those games? If you guys can remember, if
he's not there, they're 0-4. They're 0-4.
Yeah,
if he's not in that
100%. I think Ullmark could have done a serviceable job. He obviously wasn't playing at the level Swayman was at the time, but it's safe to. It's hard to kind of remember. It's safe to say he stole at least one of those games. I think it was one. Because the first game of the series they just dominated because They just Panthers just had such a long layoff. So I think it was I want to say it was game 3 that he stole. Game 3.
He made some phenomenal saves. I do remember that.
One of my co-hosts just texted me saying Swayman stole game 5 for sure. Okay. So maybe that's taken out.
Well,
I mean, Mike, you think he deserves the 9.5, or you think he's just getting that? That's a fair
I think 9.5 is high. I don't think he deserves it.
Okay.
I think that's what he's going to get. I think the Bruins are just so desperate for a goalie. And like the way their team's put together right now, like I said earlier, they're relying on a lot of guys to step up. And if those guys do, like particularly, Fabian Lysell, and provide him with some firepower on the wing that they didn't have last year, and Marchand, gets healthy this year. He had a few things ailing him wrong with him last year. He got some surgeries for. If they can get that scoring punch back on the wing with their additions at center and the big guys, the size they added on defense, having Swayman in net, like that's a really strong cup contending team. So I think for $9.5 million, I think they'll pay that, especially with the cap going up. They'll have a bit more cap flexibility going forward. They got their core locked up long term. I don't see why they wouldn't.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, Swayman's got all the leverage right now.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's shorter term, he's not going to get 9.5 by 8 years, but 9.5 at 4 or 5 years, I could see.
Yeah,
I never really considered that shorter term deal with that kind of AAV, not going that high at least. But I forgot that he did. So, or the rumors were that he did ask for that McAvoy deal. I forgot about that.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's kind of projected.
So what do you guys think about what's his name, Lindholm?
Which one?
Well, the one they signed. Didn't they get the Elias?
Yeah, he's great, man. I've watched him for a long time. He's never really been on a fantastic team. He was on a couple of decent teams with the Flames, and I think those years he was pretty well a point a game player, just about.
I think he got 40 goals one year. He got 40 goals one year with them. I looked up.
Yeah, something like that. I think he had 80.
That was when
I think he was a point a game that year.
Gaudreau and Kachuk. He had a monster year that year.
Yeah. So, I mean, put him with Pasternak and insert whoever on the left wing. I mean, he'll put up some good numbers.
Yeah.
And he wins faceoffs. Holy shit, he wins faceoffs. Like, never mind any of the offense. Like, he wins faceoffs, which is why the Bruins lost.
That's getting possession from Pasternak,
Yeah, and that's where why the Bruins power play struggled down the stretch, particularly in the playoffs. Couldn't win faceoffs, and Lindholm will win faceoffs on the power play for us, which is huge.
Couldn't win faceoffs. They'd ice the puck, and then we couldn't get back into the zone. It was just horrendous.
Yeah, it was painful to watch.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, that's. I think that was a huge pickup for them. I think he's going to surprise a lot of Bruins fans because he didn't have the greatest last year and a half, I want to say, with the Calgary team that was just kind of on the deep end. Like they were just dipping game by game, and Huberdeau was a shell of himself. I mean, that contract is horrendous. And then I don't know, it was just obvious that he was never going to go back to Calgary, and that's why the rumors were that he was asking for like $9.5 million just to stay there. And I think a fresh start for him. I think in Montgomery's system, him possibly moving to the bumper position on the power play, I think it's going to ignite a lot of offensive upside for him. And where he's typically a guy who takes these important faceoffs and he's playing this 200-foot game, I think him being paired up with guys like Zacha and Pasta on their wings and him having that much offensive power on his wings is really just going to, not going to say he's going to do what he did in Calgary with the other two guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a 70-point season.
Yeah, he put up 20, 25 goals a few times. So,
yeah, he can put the puck in the net. And what the Bruins were really missing last year too was that bumper position, filling Bergeron there, and you had Zacha there, and having a left-handed shot just really didn't work for the team. And you have to hope that maybe that can get him anywhere between 5 to 10 goals, and then our 5-on-5 play. Hopefully that ignites. With the depth that we now have down the center, hopefully it ignites a little bit better or more offensive power when playing at even strength. So I'm looking forward to that because without a doubt in my mind, even with losing Allmark, you're a better team. They're a better team than they were this previous year.
That's a good point about the bumper spot being a left shot versus a right. Like Marchand's been really good on the power play with Bergeron on the bumper, more so than Pasternak and Bergeron, just because of the Bergeron being a right-handed shot. Yeah. And I think that'll definitely make Marchand a bit more effective on the power play.
I think that's such an underestimated situation that the average fan doesn't realize. That little nuance of which way the guy's shooting is a big difference when you're setting up a chance,
Yeah, well, that's what I think really took away from Pasta's game too on the power play, because they knew with Zacha and the bumper and them not really being able to find a guy for that bumper spot just closed. Pasta just had way less ice than he did in previous years, and they were closing in on him. Yeah, and then you didn't really have a guy ready to step up. And then you find out that Marchand had all these injuries, and he had one that was nagging him from the start of the season. So it's, hopefully with a healthy him, with a healthy Marchand and a new bumper guy and whatnot, maybe things can get rolling because, as you guys know, that goes a long way come regular season and playoff time, is having that power play unit just rolling.
And speaking of the power play, Mason Lohrei needs to be on the first power play. No more Charlie McAvoy. It has to be Mason Lohrei. Saying it, you heard it here. He was so good on the power play in the play. He was unbelievable. And
the confidence that he has is unreal.
Those are some strong words coming from a Bees fans.
Yeah, Mikey, you coming to my side, Mikey?
Buddy, those are not strong words at all. Anyone with half a brain that watched those games is saying the same thing.
Hey, listen,
I'm telling you, he was unbelievable on the power play.
Listen, I love Charlie McAvoy as a Rangers fan. It's hard to hate somebody like that, but
no, I don't. I don't think he's
too. Well, I'm just saying, I don't not root for the guy just because I'm a Rangers fan. I mean, it's hard. He's a very good player from Long Island, from actually the town I live in, Long Beach. So it's hard to root against him, but I don't see him as a power play defenseman, and there's nothing really wrong with that, or at least a PP1.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
There's nothing wrong with that. He's a dominant defenseman. He always threats to throw the body, the big hit. Yeah. You don't have to be a PP1 defenseman. Also, let someone else do that.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing with Fox, but the opposite. You don't want Fox to be throwing the big hits or blocking shots and digging in the corners, but you want him throwing up 100 points a year on the power play.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Hampus Lindholm, when McAvoy was hurt 2 years ago, when they got him 3 years ago at the trade deadline. McAvoy got hurt the following year and was out at the start of the season. Hampus Lindholm was amazing on the power play. He's great. Out. He's not, lights out. He's not, of all the Bruins defensemen, he's a lot like Keandre Miller. He's not physical at all, but he's very smart and intelligent, particularly in the defensive zone and with how he breaks the puck out. He's incredible at passing.
Well, then he's not like Keandre Miller.
Well, in terms of his physicality, coach, bear with me. Okay. But he was fantastic on the power play. He had 30, 40 points that year, something, and way more than he ever had in any other season.
It was a career high by 20 points. I know that much.
Yeah, and it was a lot to do with the fact that he was on the first power play with McAvoy hurt in the beginning of the year. So even him on the second power play, I agree. I agree with you, Eddie. McAvoy, I don't think it's a power play defenseman, but the Bruins do have options to fill that first and second power play slot at the point.
Sounds like a good problem to have, but I mean, you could be a 1D defenseman on a team, assistant captain, whatever, and not run the power play. It's okay to not do everything as a defenseman. At least I think so. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that can, but
you don't have
no need to when you have. There's no need to when you have other guys to take that role. So yeah. I mean, I guess you guys you touched on everything. You did a great job talking about all the moves and looking ahead into the season, what needs to be addressed. But I mean, what are your thoughts looking into the upcoming season? You think the Bruins have the best D-core in the league, or is that matched by another team at this point?
I mean, I think they could go shot for shot against. I mean, any other decor in the league, really. Right as of right now, where we stand. I mean, on paper. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
That's
be
what
other
we're talking
teams
about
that
here.
can produce, more offensive upside. But I just think like Zadoro's got a heavy shot. If you can get that going, if he's an intimidating player, he's a physical player. If Lorai, if he keeps that confidence, that swagger the kid had, just trying these ridiculous moves and a move I wouldn't even try in beer league, even if I knew I could pull it off, I wouldn't have the nuts to do that. Like the confidence he had is just like, you love to see that and you hope that someone can build off that. So like based off what he was, this is me projecting, but based off what I've seen from previous years from him and what we saw in the short time with Peak last season, I'm projecting big things for this decor. And I feel as confident. God, I can't even think of how many years ago. Like it's in a long time in this decor. Then it's been a while since I've been this confident in the decor, and I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be tough to compete with them, and I think if Corpusello can kind of get his stuff together, and Swayman, picks up where he left off, then you're gonna probably be looking at one of the better teams in the league. Assuming that the Bruins up front figure out secondary scoring, which on paper it seems like they did, but we'll see.
All right, so now you're doing the same kind of prediction. Let's narrow that prediction down a little bit. I could say there's a lot of ifs with the Rangers too, but what's your actual prediction?
Like where they'll finish in the stand-ins?
Well, no, we'll get to that. Okay.
Oh, I thought we were on that.
Oh, a few more questions.
No, we're talking about the decor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Decor.
We're gonna finish the Bruins
on a tangent.
It's okay.
Well,
if we don't follow Cousin Ed's outline, he might get upset. So we're trying to stick to it. As hosting's a tough job over here. I need Cousin Ed's outline on my left.
Well, they're defensively, their defenseman. Wow, it's a lot. They're going to be fantastic, but there's not a lot of offense there outside of Mason Lorai. So that's the one
guy
area
you mentioned for the PP1, right?
Yeah, definitely. So if they're going to get offense out of their defenseman, I think their best bet is Lorai and Lindholm on the power play units, and maybe alternate Lindholm and McAvoy on the second one. But in terms of 5-on-5 offense, that's where they're going to struggle. But defensively, I think they'll be absolutely fantastic on their side of the red line.
Yeah, I think last year in the playoffs, I remember watching McAvoy. I mean, I feel this about Fox also. He's out there way too much. And if you have that 6 guys you're talking about, and if he's not on the power play, that gives him more defensive hitting ability as far as stamina.
Yeah. More minutes and doing what he's best at. Yep.
Right.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
Yep.
Like we argue a lot on our podcast, or we discuss a lot that why is Fox out on the penalty kill when he's playing 27 minutes, and by the end of the season he's banged up.
Yeah,
man, I bet you could scroll back through me and Little Ed's text about 2.5 years, and I think I said that exact same thing that you said a few seconds ago, Coach. Why is Fox out on the power play when?
Yeah, I've been saying it for 3 years.
The best part of his game is penalty on the offensive side of the red line.
Yeah,
you mean on the penalty kill?
What? Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I just don't see it over 82 games.
Yeah,
the game is too fast, and you gotta stretch it out.
You could also pick your spots. 100%. I mean, I know like the big thing now in the NHL is a lot of shorthanded goals, so that's why you see a lot of forwards like McDavid killing penalties and stuff. You can get that shorthanded break, but like if you don't,
you're going to give me nightmares talking about
shorthanded goal. If you're already winning the game, there's no reason for me to have Fox out there, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
I know you already mentioned what's his name, Mason. What?
Lorai.
What's another player that you would expect to take a step forward from the Bruins, Mikey? I'll let you go first, and then we want one from Boozy. We have the fantasy draft coming up, so Cousin Ed. Cousin Ed probably has like 10 fantasy drafts coming up, so he needs a sleeper pick from the Bruins of someone that's going to take a step forward this year.
Number 11, Trent Frederick.
Oh, contract year.
I think you said that last year too, but we'll let it slide.
False. That's Mrs. 150 has a
That's
huge heart
Mrs.
on for Trent
150.
Frederick.
Yeah,
She definitely said it, but this is his year. This
Fair
is
enough.
his year, man. Yeah, he kills it in fantasy too. Fantastic category coverage.
All right, I'll take him 1-1 this year instead of McDavid.
Yeah. Listen, Mrs. drafted him in the 5th round last year, and she finished 2nd place in our league. So she's on to something.
You guys
she's
went
on to
head to head in the ship. It was no joke. Boozy, who you got?
I like that Frederick one. Man, it's tough to say. I want to say Fabian Lysell because he's not even a lock to make the roster, but it is his, in my opinion, it's his to lose. And I think getting second line minutes with a guy like Brad Marchand and Charlie Coyle is going to do wonders for him. Yeah, and him possibly even getting some power play time and whatnot. And this is all assuming that the coach is putting him in a position to succeed and not having him take too many defensive zone face-off. Well, not that he takes face-offs, but starting the defensive zone too often. And if they can, the other team gets an icing and you get that change and you can get Lysell in a good position, and so be it. So I think Fabian Lysell could be that guy that could really pop off. He's got enough offensive upside to really surprise a lot of folks, and he's been one of our. It's not saying much when it's coming from the Bruins, but one of our top prospects in the system for quite some time now. And it's a European player, so I think it's for some reason it takes these guys a little bit longer, and I think it's time for him to step up and net 15 to 20 goals as a rookie.
All right, Coach, now you can ask.
What do you want me to ask? What's your bold prediction? I mean,
no,
I have to troll.
The Bruins will finish.
Wait, Boozer, I have to troll you a little bit on that one too. First, you're saying he might not even make the roster. He might not even make the roster, but now you have him on the second line and the power play. So that's a wide scope of a situation there.
That's the only way. That's the only way he makes the team, in my opinion. He doesn't make the
he's
team.
Gonna get that role.
Yeah, he's not like one of the fourth line guys, and that's what we need. All the other slots are basically filled besides that second line right wing. So that's why I've been based off the assumption that it's going to be his, because I don't think they want Morgan Geekie to have that role again, because he's just not really that guy. And it's time. I think it's time to see the young kids play. So that's why I'm just kind of banking on that. You guys wanted bold. I gave you bold. That's Jesus, nice. I can't even talk.
You're rolling with the coach at punches. You're doing great.
What's Montgomery's track record on giving these guys that kind of a chance?
It's tough because last year I thought his leash was a little bit short, and because I think he was scared that he was coaching for his job because he didn't have the talent going into year 2 than he did year 1. Now I'm even a little bit more worried because he's going into a contract year. His thing last year was just switching up the lines every goddamn game, every other period. You get different lines out there, and it's incredibly frustrating. The only thing that you could bank on was Coyle and Marchand being together, even though it was
Bruce Cassidy all over again.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? Now, this is where I tend to think that he overthinks things, and then this is essentially what I was trying to get at earlier. That's why I think they brought in. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name now. Jay Leach, yes. I think it's Monty's position to lose if he overthinks, and I think Jay Leach will be the successor taking over if they choose to go a different direction. Because I mean, you guys saw from afar the last 2 seasons in the postseason them overthinking the goalie rotation, and him overthinking the goalie rotation the past 2 off seasons, where it could have possibly affected you, or you're probably looking at a different outcome first year when we lost Game 7 to the Panthers, when you found out Allmark was hurt and he's still stuck with Allmark. So,
well, I think he was in a similar situation that the Devils coach was in, Lindy Ruff, with the goaltending situation. You're making those decisions. It's a tough decision under pressure, but that's interesting that he's got his job is on the line. I personally thought from an outsider's point of view, it was a successful season with losing.
No, it definitely was. It definitely was. I think
I thought he did a good job from my perspective, but I'm not watching him game in and game out.
No, the Bruins without a doubt overachieved, and I think he did a great job just kind of keeping it together. But when it comes to the postseason, we have a little bit of a higher expectation, even though we overachieved last year. And obviously
coaches that didn't do a good job then.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, I think people came out and said that if we lost Game 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs, which I mean, in my opinion, if you're a Bruins head coach and you lose a playoff round against the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's a fireball offense. I don't care if it's like the Eastern Conference Finals. I do not care. That's a fireball offense in my book. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
you guys, they haven't beaten them in how many years? They're going to lose eventually, I think. I would think.
You shut your mouth.
Not on my watch.
Shut your mouth.
All right, so where do you guys see the Bruins finishing this year? Are they a bubble team, a playoff team? I mean, I have a feeling what are you guys going to say, but Mikey, you go first. What position in the Atlantic?
Oh boy. I say they finish third in the Atlantic. And as far as being a playoff team, I think you're going to see 5 Atlantic teams in the playoffs this year.
Okay.
I think you'll see I'll see.
We'll get to the Metro. We'll get to the Metro next because we're going to ask you guys' opinion on the Rangers. Boozy?
I'm going to ride high with them. I'm going to go. I think they're going to finish first. I think Swayman's going to show that he's that guy. And
that's if he gets signed.
Yeah, that's if he gets signed. Assuming he gets signed. Yeah, I think he's kind of gonna take over and win the Atlantic for the or help the Bruins win the Atlantic because you added all the needs that you had. You addressed all the needs. So now it's time to go show on paper what you can actually do on the ice.
Yep, and fans will be giving our regular season predictions not next week, the week after. So we'll give our predictions on the Atlantic and the Bruins in that episode. So I guess forget about the Bruins for a little bit. Let's head across to the Metro. Want to see what your guys' opinion is on the Rangers. I mean, last year no one really had the Rangers finishing where they did, especially winning the President's Trophy. Where do you see the Rangers going into this season? Do you see them kind of not repeating as the President's Trophy? That's hard to predict. But do you see them taking a step back or possibly even taking a step ahead and getting to the Stanley Cup final or even winning the Cup? I mean, let's see how unbiased you guys could be. Uzi, you take this one first.
I think they're going to regress a little. I think they have enough offensive power to kind of carry them. And didn't Chesty have like a slow start last season?
Very slow start. He got hurt or was banged up a little bit. Quick really saved the season. That's why I said to Coach before. I mean, Quick signed again, so we might be seeing the same thing with like 30 and 50 games.
Yeah, no. So I think they're going to be a hell of a team. I think they're going to be the team to run away with the Metro, but I do think they'll regress a little bit. They had some cap trouble this offseason, and I don't know. It's tough. I'm trying to. Who'd you guys have? Wasn't there an important name that you guys traded away that had to trade away? I'm trying to.
They got rid of Goudreau. They put Goudreau on waivers or bought him.
Yeah.
What they do? They bought him out or put on waivers. Well, I guess that's buying him out, right? Kind of.
Yeah, I forget what I remember. Now I remember that. And I mean,
other than Goudreau, they pretty much have the same team coming back in. And Riley Smith, they signed Riley Smith as what looks like it's going to be the first line right wing with Zibanejad and Kreider.
Sam Carrick as well.
Oh, and Sam Carrick.
the defenseman. Am I
Fourth line center.
Yeah.
For the Ducks.
I'm thinking of Connor Carey. No, I think Riley's a good ad. I think he, I don't know if he's capable of playing first line minutes still, but he can kind of jump up and down there. And you kind of have to bank on Panarin and Zibanejad having hell of a season again, and Fox staying healthy, because didn't Fox miss like a month last season?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you have those three guys healthy,
Zibanejad took the regular season off as well compared to his previous years.
yeah, I had him on fantasy, so pretty frustrated.
Noted.
Yeah.
So you said you have them finishing first in the Metro, but regressing, so you don't think they'll make it as far in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't. It's tough to say because
You're right. You're doing it again, Boozy. Be careful, Coach.
I know.
Your throat.
Coach is drooling over there.
You can tell I have commitment issues.
I'm like a shark, Mike. The prey is there.
I think they'll. It's tough because you're trying to think of potential playoff matchups and stuff way ahead. But
all right, just finish. How are they going to finish the season? We won't hurt you too much.
I think how many points did they finish with last year? You guys remember off the top of your head?
106 or something like that.
No, it was like 114, 15.
Yeah, it was
16.
Yeah, something like that.
So I think something like 106, 108 is kind of in the wheelhouse. So it's not like a big regression. I
hope you're right. I like that.
I definitely think they'll surpass 100 points, 100%. It's, if Igor gets off picks up where he left off, and then you have Jonathan Quick.
114 points.
114, yeah. So I can see
got them first in the Metro again.
Yes, I have them first in the Metro. I think Devils will be right behind them. But if
Mikey, what do you got?
I'm torn. I'm not sure if the Devils are going to finish first or the Rangers are going to finish first. The Devils are going to be a wagon this year with Markstrom and net. Like, they're going to be a good team. And the Capitals are going to be good. They're going to be really good this year. But I think the Rangers will win the Metro. It'll be a really close race between them and the Devils. But they're never going to win a cup with Mika Zibanejad on that team. I'm sorry, but he's dog shit. I hate him. He's just so frustrating. He's just a terrible hockey player. He just plays when it's convenient for himself to play. Like he's so frustrating. He's like watching Jake DeBrusk. He's just so frustrating.
Listen, I'm with you. So
yeah,
I can't argue against that. I mean, that's a good way to put it. He only plays when it's convenient for himself.
I'm not going to say dog shit, but
yeah, dog shit's a heavy word, but
he brings a lot to the table. I think it's frustrating
when he wants to.
I agree. I think he plays with that little lax attitude. It seems like it. I see that in a lot of players, but then you hear from other NHL personalities that the guy's competitive level is off the charts. It doesn't look like it to me. I feel a lot about that with Panarin also, Yeah.
Well, in fairness, that's exactly how David Krejci played his whole career. Like, it never looked like he was even winded once, ever, when he was on the ice. But, he's still putting up point a game. So,
yeah,
I can understand.
Well, it depends if you're putting up the point a game. But, I mean, I was going to say it before. We don't want players like Panarin to be fighting Matthew Tkachuk. But at the same time,
absolutely,
you need a little bit more from guys, and that's the message that Pasta was trying to send. So for a player like Pasta to step up and try and send that message, I mean, you almost hope that Panarin does do something like that, or Zibanejad. But it's probably never going to happen.
Like we were talking about it a bit before we started, the Rangers defense doesn't have that edge, and that's something that you need in the playoffs. And I think that's another thing that'll hold them back ultimately when it comes down the stretch in the postseason.
I think you need a healthy Trouba. Trouba was a little banged up, and you got to have Schneider stepping up. There's a lot of ifs too in Booze's defense.
Yeah.
You guys think Mayor Rampage gets a lot of games this year though?
Well, that was the elephant in the room we were going to ask. What's your opinion from the outside of Rempe in the league and how he plays and what's going on?
I think at first it was awesome, and then he was like. And I can't, it's really hard to tell if it's just because he's a massive guy and he kind of skates goofy, if he just doesn't know how to hit, or if he's just an absolute goon out there. He's not, flying that chicken wing out there like your captain, but but he's such a massive guy, though.
In fairness, and our captain.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, your captain's Marshawn,
and McAvoy too. I mean, let's
leaving his feet. Yeah, McAvoy leaving his feet. Listen, we're old school hockey fans over here. So.
McAvoy's top heavy. That's why he can't help. No, I thought he's an electric player to watch off the bat. I mean, and it's kind of cool to see him training with who the hell was he training with?
George Laraque.
George Laraque, yeah, and that was pretty cool. So it's definitely is going to add that grit that you guys kind of want on the back end. But I mean, if he gets a decent amount of playing time, it seems like they kind of want to stick with him. So it's exciting to see what he can do, as long as he isn't going out there purposely trying to hurt anyone. Which I personally, I don't think he's trying to personally hurt anyone.
It's half of it's the Chara effect, and the other half is him being too young, too inexperienced in the NHL, where the NHL is just so much faster than every other league he's played in. And you said it, he's an absolute Sasquatch, and just not knowing quite where he is and anticipating where other guys are going to be has left him with some pretty gruesome looking hits and whatnot. But I think once he learns how to be in the right place and maybe keep his elbows tucked a bit or his shoulder a bit lower, he'll be all right. But he's got to learn how to be effective in that role without costing the Rangers too much.
Yeah,
it's like it was funny to see the stat line from his first 6 games, 6 minutes played, 100,000 penalty minutes, haha. But ultimately that hurts the Rangers, that hurts the Rangers. So he's got to learn how to be effective in that role, whether it's taking someone with him or, whatever. But like Boozy said, he's fun as hell to watch.
I mean, Eddie's friend Ben makes fun of me, but if you go to the warm-up and watch the way he skates, it's not as awkward as it looks in person as it does on TV. The kid can move, and the kid he can handle the puck decent. I'm not saying he's a first or second line player. I just don't think he's a liability. I think if his attitude is great and he's going to learn, like you said, Mike, when he learns where to be and anticipation more, his effect is going to be a lot better. And he's willing to do that. We'll see. I think in 10 games, we're going to see if he can do it or not.
I don't care how big you are, how tall you are. You don't make it to the NHL just because you're big or just because you're tall. I mean, the kid has to know how to skate. He's got to know how to handle the puck. He could shoot the puck. I mean, it doesn't look like that compared to Panarin in warmups and stuff. But
no,
the fourth line guys are still some of the best hockey players in the world. It's it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I agree with everything you're saying. He's got to learn to be a little bit swifter on his feet, and by also maintaining the size, which is going to be the challenge for him. He's got to get heavier, but also got to get lighter at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talk about Swayman's attitude. You just watch that kid. We watched him in Florida. He was on the bench before warm-up started, just listening, just enjoying what he's doing.
Knowing he's only going to get 3 minutes.
He's got his headphones on. He's listening to music. He's thinking. He's looking around, and he's just taking it all in and enjoying every possible minute, because obviously he knows it could be his last. He's got to fight for every minute he's got, and he looks like he's got the right attitude, but he's just a happy-go-lucky kid. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw any of his interviews. It's just entertaining.
Yeah, no, you love to see it too.
It's good for the NHL. It's hard to root against someone like that. I mean, like Mike said, hopefully he's able to stay out of the box, and God forbid he seriously hurts anybody by mistake. But like Boozy said, I don't think it's with any intention. So
who are we talking to? Excuse me, one more thing before we were talking. There was a rumor, I think the Devils were going to sign Lucic.
Yeah. He signed. I didn't really want to bring this up because it's kind of like a touchy subject, but the Devils were going to sign him to a PTO, and the league put a stop to it.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard that last part.
Yeah.
So I was at a barbecue, and they were saying, why would they want to do that? I'm like, They want someone to be able to fight Rempe. I mean, what other reason could there be? The
Well, they
Devils
got that
roster
other
is already
guy.
good.
What's the guy that
McLeod?
who is he? No, that's the Flyers, right? Deslorius
No,
or whatever
McLaren.
his
He's
name
right.
is?
Yeah, Flyers have Delorier.
Delorier.
McLaren is the guy on the Devils.
Well, who's
Yeah.
No,
who's
McLeod's
guy?
the face-off fiend
McLeod.
on the Devils.
I was gonna chirp Neil a little bit about that, but then it kind of played itself out, and I didn't have to.
Who's the
But the
guy the
league-
Devils traded for just to fight Rempe?
I think that was him. Or they brought him up from the River Rats or whoever their minor league team is. I think that was him, McLeod or McLeod, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
and then they
McLeod.
ended up signing him to an entry-level contract or an extension.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense then.
Yeah, shout out to Devil State of Mind, Neil Villapiano, good friend of the show. We had him on, what was that, 2 weeks ago now at this point, covering the New Jersey Devils in the rivalry tour.
I think I've actually listened to. I know which one you're talking about. I've seen his podcast before. Yeah,
he's a good kid, very knowledgeable of the team. Does the show himself, so he could run our show by himself if we wanted him to.
That's crazy because that's hard. That's
hard. Well, thanks, guys. We really appreciate you coming on, filling us in with the Bruins. Of course, fans, you'll see a lot more Mikey 150 on a weekly basis. He'll be going away for a few days overseas or on the open ocean for a little while, but he'll be back for the regular season, recapping the league for us. And yeah, hopefully we get Boozy back on, and let's see when the Bruins are playing the Rangers first, and we can have some fun. And like I said, you're more than welcome to join the fantasy team or fantasy league, and we'll talk more about that off air.
I do want to say something real quick before we log off.
Go ahead, man.
I play the beer league I play in is a very tight-knit community. It's 8 teams in the league. The guy who runs it is actually a Rangers fan, and
cool.
So we always have a good back and forth, which is a blast. And when the Bruins play the Rangers at home, we go and whatnot. Awesome guy. This year, everything he does for the league, we wanted to treat him and his kids to a Bruins Rangers game. So everyone chipped in, and we got them good seats at the Bruins Rangers game. And he brought his 2 kids. He went to the game early to go watch the Rangers warm-ups. And I forget what the sign said, but Mika Zibanejad, he signed a stick and gave them one of his sticks, which I thought
that's really awesome.
Of course, we
not
get
bad
him.
for a guy that's dog shit.
Now I look like a douchebag.
So maybe he's not as half as bad as you think, Mike.
He's a good guy. He's just a terrible hockey player.
Fair enough.
Never defeating those.
Well, give me your buddy's information off the air, and I'll definitely send him some stickers and a T-shirt, and hopefully we can create a listener out of him.
Oh, absolutely. I told him I was hopping on tonight to check in. I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but
we got our Rempe Rides at Dawn shirt that I can send him.
Well, now you got to make one him holding the B. You got to make him holding Marchand's head or something.
I'm working on it. I want to add every mascot head so the person
part of the
shirt
deal was he had to wear a Bruins shirt under his Rangers jersey. So,
that's tough.
Nice.
Well, if you guys want to travel to New York, Coach Ed and I go to a lot of games, and we'd love to hang out with you guys. I can't promise you we'd be up in Boston this season, but I'm sure we'll get up there sooner rather than later.
I love Madison Square Garden, so maybe we can make something happen and plan something.
Yeah, let us know, man. Let us know, absolutely.
My favorite thing about Madison Square Garden is that they put lids on the beers there, which is game changing. You save so much. No, it's a beautiful place. It's very cool. It's very unique. So definitely got to go check, because I've only been there once and they weren't even playing the Bruins. So my ex was a Rangers.
Definitely got to come then. Definitely got to come. Was there anything other than obviously fans go check out the Only Bruins podcast. Is there anything you want to plug, Boozy? Anything you guys got coming up special?
No, we have some good interviews, some preseason interviews coming up within the coming weeks, and some live streams. So if you just want to follow the Twitter account at Only Bruins Pod, You'll find we'll stream live there. We're going to do a lot some giveaways this season and just have some fun. We have some good interviews lined up and just kind of try to get everyone jacked up for hockey this season.
Awesome.
Great podcast. Yeah. Great podcast. Brett's off the rails, but great show.
Yeah, Mikey was very excited for you to join him this year. So we look forward to hopefully a good relationship, and we'll do some more stuff together.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on, and maybe we'll do a little Rangers Bruins live stream at some point with you guys.
Absolutely. We'd love to do that.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks again for having me on.
Nice to meet you, Boozy. Good luck. Mike,
we'll
good luck
to you
on the
guys
open
soon.
seas. Be careful out there. Don't be a hero.
I'll wear my swimmies when I'm out there.
They got the swimmies with the chest thing now. So
yeah,
I'm gonna make
Keep
him
it
a
safer.
custom Rangers Ed life jacket or swimmies or something.
perfect.
Mike would probably rather drown than that.
Yeah,
All right.
big time.
All right, boys.
All right,
Thanks
boys.
again. We'll talk to you
See
soon.
you guys. Take care.
have a good
See you
night.
later.
Good luck.
Well, great show. Let me pop their logos off the screen here. Oh, one more. Great job.
Yeah,
What'd you
again,
think?
again, we have another guest on that they're not all rah for their team. They're realists. They're real. They have good opinions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you after hearing about the Lindholm signing and these big defensemen. And I mean, if and when Swayman signs, I mean, they're definitely going to be a tough team to beat for sure.
I mean, I thought Swayman was signed for this year. He's not even signed for this year.
That's a great question.
I meant to
So
ask
it's
you, but
just
I
the-
didn't really want to sound stupid
No,
in front
you
of the
should've.
Boston fans.
I think it might have just been an extension. I think you're right. But either way,
I mean, that'd be insane if they got rid of Olmark and they didn't even have Swayman signed at all.
his
my opinion.
long-term overdue contract extension. So yeah, I guess technically he's still signed for this year. But that's going to create some friction, I would imagine.
Yeah, some controversy for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, they got some mean defensemen. Obviously, Marchand's always a threat. Pass is always a threat. And signing those defensemen and Lindholm, they're not ignoring their issues, that's for sure. But what else you got? Anything other than that, other than Stony Brook? I saw you guys were out on a boat yesterday. You had some fun?
Yeah, we went out on Chad's boat. It was a nice half a day, a few hours. Nice weather, a little chilly, but it was enjoyable.
Very cool.
And that was it. A little golf this weekend. Played at Eisenhower White with Kono. A little chilly there too, but enjoyable, sunny.
Yep, we're running out of the weather for some golf. We got sneaking some more rounds. I wanted to make an announcement. Last year, I don't think I ever officially said it on the show. I might have. I don't remember, but we officially made the $5,000 donation to liveforevan.org on behalf of the
Nice.
podcast and the Armo outing. So if you guys are a new listener, we have a good relationship with the Live for Evan organization, which they take care of kids with cardiac issues. And I guess I should have mentioned it. It's up in Boston at the Boston General Hospital, supposedly the best hospital in the country in terms of pediatric heart surgeons. And yeah, we were able to raise $5,000 this year and hopefully pay a few months of the mortgage for the apartments they got up there, so the families in need don't have to worry about that. So
yeah, that'd be a good idea to mention it to Boozer for next time. Maybe he could bring it up on their podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll shoot him a message. He might even know about it. It's a pretty big charity up in the Boston area, and like I said, they do good things by having those apartments and townhomes or whatever they got for the families and the children in need that need to go to the hospital or stay in Boston for a long period of time, and they might be from across country or from different parts of the world and things like that. So shout out to liveforevan.org. If you want to make a donation, You can head on over there. There's a donation button on the website. It's very simple. And it's going to a really good cause. I know the people running the organization, and every dime or every dollar goes to that. So you're in good hands. So great job,
it was
Coach.
nice. Yeah, nice. Well done by yourself, and kind of off our cuff as usual, and still raising $5,000. So thanks to our donors and our participants.
Yeah,
it was a great, great day. Good barbecue. Everybody had fun, and goes to a great course.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was our 10th one. It was actually the 10th annual. So hopefully next year we'll have the 11th annual and beyond. And each year it's growing, different ideas and different members and things like that. So 5,000 seems to be the magic number. We did around the same last year. And hopefully next year we can increase that even more with more golfers, more donations, more sponsors, things like that. And it always goes to a great cause. So if you want to make a donation, it's not too late. Like I said, www.live.4evan.org. Make a donation. Send me a screenshot in the Instagram DMs or an email, and we'll send you a little fan package, some stickers or something like that as a thank you for making the donation. And if you make a $50 donation, that'll include a free Rangers Ed t-shirt. So if you get up to that $50 price tier, you get a free Rangers Ed t-shirt. If you want a Rempy shirt, you can have one of those or just a regular Rangers Ed shirt. And like I said, just send me the screenshot. We'll get it going. So another good episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Had a good time on our 4th stop of the Rivalry Tour. Next week, we have our 5th and final stop in Pittsburgh, joined by our buddy Nick, host of the Tip of the Iceberg podcast. Lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby rumoring to possibly not stick around for his entire career, but we'll see. He's got to sign an extension as well, so we'll have to pick Nick's brain and see what he thinks about that.
That'll be interesting.
Coach, anything else? Any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, it's getting close. It's getting exciting. Being on the ice gets my juices flowing a little more. It's a little tough with the late nights, but it's been working out halfway decent, and you get your adrenaline flowing. So we'll see what happens. We'll see when the Rangers break camp, how they're doing, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, we have two preseason games on our ticket package, so that's in 2 weeks already, I think. So fans, if you guys are interested in going to any games or buying any games from us, we can definitely give you better prices than you see on the third-party market. So reach out to us. We have a ton of games available. And or if you're just going to the game and want to meet up with Coach Ed and I, we'd love to meet up and hang out and meet our fans. It's always a good time doing that. So hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Looking forward to a good regular season. Like I said before, we got next week, 5th and final stop of the Rivalry Tour in Pittsburgh. And then the week after that, I believe, we'll be doing our regular season predictions and covering some training camp. And the team should be getting underway at that time. So we'll have a lot to talk about. And I think Cousin Ed will be back. I will be gone next week for the Pittsburgh episode, but you guys will be in good hands with Cousin Ed back on the host mic. That's it,
bud. On the last minute host.
Love you guys. Thank you for all the viewers out there. Thank you for being live in the chat. Paul, thanks for always joining us. Jay, our regulars. No Gaza this week. I'm gonna have to shoot Gaza a message, make sure he's okay. I'm sure he is. I saw him earlier on social media posting some of his jersey videos. So
yeah,
he just had something.
Meg make a nice little birthday package for one of my customers in Long Beach.
Oh, of course. We always got to shout out the Suter sisters. Shout out to Suter Sweet Treats.
Yep. She's going to be sending in orders for Thanksgiving and Halloween, and for her students. She's been giving out the cookies, so she's a good customer, Meg. I'm sure you'll do the right thing as always. And hit him up. Great job.
Awesome. And shout out to our buddy Oscar. He's got a brand new logo heading into the season. Did some rebranding. As always, hit up Oscar for your customized jerseys. And always a shout out to Dom Lucarelli at Lucarelli Law down in Naples, Florida. And we'll have plenty of other sponsors.
Opening night.
Yeah, Dom will be their opening night. God, we could talk all night. Opening night, we have a few more tickets available, fans. If you guys want to join us in the opening night MSG Lounge, we have a few tickets left. All you can eat, all you can drink non-alcoholic beverages. We'd love to have you. We'll be giving out T-shirts included in the price. So if you want a ticket, if you want to reserve your spot, shoot me a message on Instagram or send us an email or a message on Twitter, whatever, however you want to get in touch with us. And you can join us for opening night. We'd love to have you. It's going to be a good time. I think that's it.
Let's do it. That's it. Let's call it a night.
Love you guys.
Get some sleep.
We'll see you next week. Have a good week. And as always, let's go Rangers.